How are you guys doing? Today is Thursday, July 8th, 2021. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to do an individual profile on Virgil van Dijk. The elite Dutch center back for Liverpool turns 30 today, and with this episode, I'm going to just give a little insight and a little bit of context as what he's been able to accomplish through his career from the moment that he stepped foot in the limelight to the moment where he is now as probably one of the best soccer players in the entire world, a Dutch mogul, and one of the few players that was able to help bring Liverpool its first Premier League title in 30 years. So if you're unfamiliar with who Virgil van Dijk is, he stands at about 6'4". He's a very strong player. He's very coordinated. He's very controlled with how he plays. And there was a time where he and Messi were the top two vote getters for the Ballon d'Or. And if you understand how tough it is to be a Ballon d'Or to be a Ballon d'Or contender as a defender, just like I think if you were to really put that into perspective, the fact that he was a defender and the only person that got more votes than him in 2019 was Lionel Messi, that should say enough about Virgil van Dijk just to get it started. So just looking at what his career was looking like, he would eventually, he would come up through the Groningen system. He would eventually get called up for Groningen, which is a Dutch team, when he was in his age 20 season. In his age 20 season, in his age 19 season, he only really played 2 matches. And in that season, he was able to establish himself as one of the better young players. He came back in 2011, 2012 for his first full season there. He started 21 of the 23 games he played for a Groningen team that finished 14th in the entire Dutch league. He had 3 goals himself. But of course, you can really do the best you can. That year, at least in the Dutch league, that defense allowed 38 goals in the 23 matches he played. He had only 6 clean sheets on the year, but of course, following that, he would find a way to get better and come back for his 3rd season with Groningen, his only full season in which he started every game. In his age 21 season in 2012-2013, Virgil van Dijk would start 32 games in a season where Groningen finished with the 7th best record in all of the Netherlands. He would finish with 2 goals and 3 assists himself as a defender. And then not to mention the team would concede 46 goals in the 34 games, which is a better pace than it was the year before. He had 7 clean sheets, and after establishing himself as one of the better young players at Groningen, he would eventually get lured to play at Celtic FC, which is the best soccer team in all of Scotland. When he played there, his very first season in 2013-2014, in his age 22 season, he would start 35 of the 36 matches in a season where Celtic would end up winning. They would end up winning the Premiership. That was the only trophy that they would go on to win that year. Offensively, Virgil van Dijk was able to add 5 goals of his own. Other than his 2020 season at Liverpool, he's never been able to put up that many goals in a season, and this was his age 22 season. And then also looking at what he did, he was able to allow only 21. The team only conceded 21 goals in the 36 matches he played. They did go on to play in Champions League, and they would eventually get knocked out. But in the Premiership, he finished with 20 clean sheets as a defender, which is the first time he's been able to do so as a full-time starter where he had actual job security. Following that season, he would come back to play for his age 23 season for Celtic, where he would go on to start all 35 games that he would play in a season where Celtic would win the title for a 2nd year in a row. He finished with 4 goals and 5 assists, which is the most goals that he was actually a part of. And once they won this season, or I guess on the defensive side of this ball, they ended up allowing only 15 goals in the 35 matches they played, conceding only 21 clean sheets to give a sense of how Celtic fared. After winning the Scottish Championship for at least the 2nd straight year while Van Dijk was there, and I guess by this time this is the 4th year in a row that they had won it regardless, Virgil van Dijk would be recognized as one of the best young players in the world, especially at the defensive position. He was officially he was officially promoted to play for the Netherlands in October of 2015, and deep into his 3rd season with Celtic, where he would eventually get moved to Southampton. In his age 24 season, he played 5 games with Celtic, and he played 34 games with Southampton. in a season where Southampton finished with the sixth best record in the Premier League and will qualify for Europa League the very next year. In the 34 matchups that Virgil van Dijk would play in that season, they would go on to, or at least in those seasons, he finished with 3 goals. And then on the defensive side of the ball, in the Premier League, he only allowed, or the team only allowed 35 goals in 34 matches as they put up 10 clean sheets, which is incredibly impressive, especially in the Premier League doing what he was doing. And once they were able to finish 6th in the Premier League for that season, this would also be a season where Sadio Mane would be one of Southampton's top scorers as well. Virgil van Dijk would, of course, establish himself as one of the best defenders, and of course, and one of the best young Dutch players in the world as he was named to that team. Following the 2015-16 season, he will come back to Southampton for a second full year there. In 2016-17, in his age 25 season, he would start all 21 of the games that he would play. In a season where Southampton finished 8th in the league, of course, this would be a season where he would be a little plagued by injuries. Also in this season, the team would allow 22 goals in the 21 Premier League matches that he played, as they would put up 8 clean sheets. And following that season, he would come back for his age 26 season with Southampton, and it's another season that was plagued by injury. He would go on to play he would start 11 of the 12 matches he played for a Southampton team that would eventually get relegated out of the Premier League. But in the 12 games that he played, Virgil van Dijk would help the team at least finish with 26 or in 2017, 2018, he would help them really to the best of his ability. But he would eventually get signed by Liverpool halfway through the 2017-18 season. This is when Liverpool had all the money from the Philippe Coutinho move. But we would finish the 2017-18 season with Liverpool, as he helped Liverpool finish with the 4th best record in all of the Premier League after finishing at the same spot before. This was the season where Mo Salah would finish with the most goals in the Premier League, as he would go on to set the Premier League record. And they would also finish as the runners-up in Champions League. This would be the season where they ended up losing to Real Madrid. This is when Liverpool immediately started they started being viewed as contenders. This is when they put Virgil van Dijk on the back line. Following the 2017-2018 season, he would come back to Liverpool for his first full season there, and for his age 27 season. He would go on to start all 38 games in a season where Liverpool finished runners-up in the Premier League to Man City. Also in the same season, they would go on to win Champions League, as they would go all the way to beat Tottenham Hotspur, the very first Premier League team to win or at least to win Champions League since Chelsea. That's the first time Liverpool had won Champions League since 2005. So, of course, that was very big. And Virgil van Dijk that season was actually one of the contenders for the Ballon d'Or, but he would eventually lose that season. As in the Premier League itself, Liverpool would allow 19 goals in the 38 matches they played, as they had 21 clean sheets, but of course they ended up losing to Man City. In the Champions League run, he would go on to allow 11 goals the team allowed 11 goals in 12 matches played, as they had 5 clean sheets, as their defense, along with their goalie goalie Alisson, along with their amazing front attack, they were the reasons that Liverpool was able to win. This would carry on into Virgil van Dijk's age 28 season, the 2019-2020 season, which was impacted by COVID towards the very end. But by the time that COVID had hit the soccer world, Liverpool was dominating the Premier League by so much that they basically had to finish the season, because they hadn't won the league yet. They had to finish out the season for them to win. This will be the second straight year in which Virgil van Dijk will play all 38 Premier League games. He finished with 5 goals on the season in the regular season, but this would be the season where Liverpool would win the Premier League for the very first time as a club since 1990. So, of course, that was a very historic win, and they won it very convincingly. They would also go on to that year. They also had won the Club World Cup and the Super Cup after winning Champions League, and they also finished runners-up in the Champions Shield, but they were still able to take home the Premier League title, which was the trophy they've been wanting to take home this whole time. In that Premier League season, on the back line, Virgil van Dijk and Liverpool allowed 33 goals in the 38 matches they played, as they had 15 clean sheets. In the Champions League run, they would allow 8 goals in the 8 matches they played, as they would end up getting knocked out in the round of 16. But following the 2019-2020 champion season, this would lead us to this most recent season that he played with Liverpool. In his age 29 season, he would only play 5 games for Liverpool, as this was a season that was incredibly plagued with injury. And he did score a headed goal, but he would end up suffering an ACL injury in his right knee. He hasn't played since October, but I imagine that by the next time he comes back, he should be as healthy as possible. But I think they're not gonna rush his recovery, because he's such a valuable player to the team. But that, of course, leads us to where we are right now, as this man is currently entering his 30s, as many people regard him as one of the best center backs in soccer, which is why he is listed as one of the elite footballers for the 2021 calendar year. And it'll be very interesting to see what he does between now and this next year, because as a soccer fan, of course, I can't wait to see what he does. I want to thank everyone for listening to all 11 minutes of this piece. I want to wish Virgil van Dijk a happy 30th birthday. If you ever get a chance to watch him, he's wearing number 4 for Liverpool, and I believe he's also wearing the same number for the Netherlands. He's been the captain of the Dutch football team since 2018, just to give a sense of what his impact has been. And it's a matter of time before they name him the captain of Liverpool. But with that said, if you ever get a chance, please watch Virgil van Dijk, as he's one of the few defenders that many people around the world just enjoy watching, because he's just so consistent, and it's very tough to be that big, that strong, and keep some of the best soccer players in the world ahead of you. With that said, once again, thanks for everyone for listening to my piece. I hope all is well. Happy birthday, Virgil van Dijk, and I will come back with more elite profiles after this, as we have 2 more elite athletes whose birthdays are today. Thanks for listening to my piece. I hope all is well, and peace out. I'll catch you with episodes after this.